Well, hello, my darling. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I am so excited to share with you some of my favorite strategies that you can implement this week for you to actually get a boost in your podcast, get more downloads, and you're going to be able to do this in 2 hours or less this week. So I'm super excited because sometimes we just need a plan, like tell me what to do and don't give me this 100-step plan. Just tell me what to do, but make it quick and make it easy. So this is what this podcast is all about today. This is one of those that you're going to want to grab a notebook and a pencil if you're old school like me, or you know what, your notes app or whatever floats your boat. So let's get started. So I honestly don't talk about this enough. If you're a client of mine, we talk about this. I'm on your case about this. But the thing that I don't talk about enough is how your podcast looks visually, because if you think about it, your podcast cover art is the first impression somebody has of your podcast. So if it looks crappy, people are not going to want to listen because that is the branding right there. Like if it looks, I don't know, man, like your podcast belongs in the black market, I don't want to listen to it. I want to listen to somebody who looks like they know what they're talking about, because let's face it, we are all busy around here and I don't want to waste my time on a crappy looking podcast. We all judge. It is what it is. So making sure that you have a beautiful cover art is honestly so important, because if you were to spend money putting out a billboard, or maybe you were going to launch a book, you would give thought to that. And I think because with a podcast, you can just get away with putting something together on Canva really quick, which, listen, I love Canva, like no shade whatsoever on Canva. I love Canva. Canva is great. But if you don't know what you're doing and like start working in, put some glitter, some banners, some arrows, you know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, it looks messy, you know what I'm saying? So making sure that your podcast cover art is on point and it looks beautiful and it looks professional, it is going to be super important and people actually like wanting to listen to your show. The next thing is that, of course, you're going to want to plan out your podcast. So I don't want you to come here haphazardly and just putting something together last minute. Listen, I have to say it is kind of a skill, and you will definitely develop the skill the more you podcast, but especially in the beginning. If you have 100 episodes or less under your belt, I want you to be planning. I want you to be thinking ahead. I do not want you to sit here and go off of your feelings and like what's happening today. No, we need a plan and we need to execute on that plan. So we need to really have a vision. We need to start acting like CEOs around here, not just people who just do whatever taste of du jour around here, because it's not going to flow. So planning out, your podcast, having a good idea of what's coming at least on a monthly basis. You don't have to go gung-ho and plan out the whole year or even 3 months in advance, but just really having the bird's eye view and planning out the episodes you want to have coming out. If you have any launches, aligning those launches with those podcast episodes, that's going to be key again in your success. Now, the next thing that I want to talk to you about is, of course, if you have been hanging out with me, is your SEO. As far as SEO goes, I have a ton of episodes, which I'll make sure to leave linked for you in the show notes so you can go ahead and dive in. Even if you have listened to those SEO episodes, go back and listen, because listen, SEO is an art and a science, and someday it just clicks. And when it clicks and it's amazing. But the main thing that you need to focus on right now is making sure that your episode titles are searchable. So make sure that you are spending time on your podcast episode titles. If you cannot right now spend forever and ever, amen, optimizing your podcast, I want you to make sure to go ahead and focus on your titles, because again, that is the number one way people are finding you. People are searching very specific things on the podcast app, and I want your show to come up first. That is the power of SEO, optimizing your podcast titles. Now, I don't want you to get complacent and not worry about SEO, period. Like I said, I have a ton of podcast episodes on SEO, which I will leave linked for you down below. But I do want you to have a good, solid understanding of SEO, how it works. It may feel like, oh my gosh, this is so hard. I don't understand. Help me. But you just need to get the basics. We're not talking about website SEO around here. We're not even talking about Pinterest SEO. We're not talking about YouTube SEO. We're talking about podcast SEO, which is honestly the easiest to understand, the easiest to crack. And this is how I've been able to grow my own show. This is what I do for my clients. When they come in to work with me, we're working on SEO, and the results that we're able to see are like, I kid you not, they're like immediate results. Like within a week or two, we are able to see more and more downloads coming in just because we tweaked the SEO. And when you are able to implement a change like that and see results right away, it is so life-giving, because you're like, oh my gosh, I've been sitting on this gold mine and now I fixed a problem and leads are coming in, you're getting more downloads, you're making sales, and it's like mwah, chef's kiss. Now, here's another thing I don't feel like I talk about enough. You need to work your mindset, because if you are not working on your mindset and you're not pumping yourself up and stay motivated through the journey, you're going to give up, you're going to get pod fade, and you're just not going to do the thing. And let's face it, ain't nobody got time for that, because looking at me and the success that I've had with my show and of course my clients, what makes a podcast successful is you sticking it out. Of course, the strategy is there and you're showing up consistently and you have a plan, everything looks beautiful. But if one day something happens that's outside of your control, which let's face it, like that's all of us, and you don't show up to podcast, or maybe somebody left you a nasty review or whatever, like just something happened and like your mindset is just not on point right now, you're going to give up. Maybe you're not going to show up for that week, and that week turns into 2 weeks and then 3 weeks, and we're not here for that. So making sure that you are on point with your mindset, that you are in check, that you even have a plan for those days where you're in a funk, that is important. And like, especially for my ladies in the podcast, listen, we all know when it's the week before we get our periods, we don't want to do anything. So we need a plan for that, and we need to level up our mindset game for when things happen. Because, let's face it, things are always happening and we're always having to juggle all of those things. Now, once we have those things in place, right? Like the visual side of the podcast is good to go. We are optimizing our titles. We have a good grasp on podcast SEO. We're planning our show. We're not just going off of feelings and our mindset at some point. What do you do next? So reaching out to other shows. Listen, should have said this in the beginning. This is like part 1. So what I've said to you thus far, that is what I want you to go ahead and implement this week. That is the thing that's going to take you 2 hours or less this week for you to focus on and see the growth in your show, like immediate. I'm just so here for it. I need to change something. I'm going to apply this thing and it's going to work. Okay. That was part 1. That's everything I've said thus far in this episode. Now I want to give you some bonus strategies, and this is part 2 right here. Okay, so you have done all those things, you're mastering those things. So what comes after that? Okay, after you have done that, I want you to start reaching out to other shows to be a guest on their shows. So listen, don't make this complicated, don't make this awkward. Just reach out to people. It's as simple as that. Please. And I say this because this happens to me. People will subscribe me onto their email list, like they're pitching me, but they'll just grab my email and subscribe me onto their email list. I hate that so much. Please do not do that. And do not mass email people. I get pitches all the time in my inbox, and sometimes people forget that they're copy and pasting. And I'm like, dude, like, come on, like, don't do that. So take the time to be thoughtful. And I have a very good success rate on getting on other people's podcasts. I have to be honest, this year, it was not something that I really wanted to do. I just really wanted to pour into my family and to just be with them and to really foster my motherly side. I feel like I have a good thing going on my business. And this year, I wanted to pour into my family. And I think I've guested on like maybe 1 or 2 shows this whole year. But the point I'm trying to make is I have really good success rate in getting in other people's podcasts because my pitches are heartfelt and they are genuine. And I don't even like calling it a pitch. I mean, technically it is a pitch, but it's just a heartfelt email that I send to people, and I have a really good success rate. So again, once you have part 1 of this, the things that you can implement in 2 weeks or less, this is part 2, right? Like this is phase 2 of the strategy. Those are the things that you can implement. Another thing you can do at this point is that you can start promoting your things on social. Now, listen, I am here for Pinterest. Like if you're going to spend time on any platform, and I know Pinterest is not technically a social media platform, but we kind of just put it in there. I want you to spend time on Pinterest because Pinterest is, again, another SEO platform, and your pins will live on there for ever and ever, and they don't become irrelevant. So take the time. I want you to just go ahead and pin your podcast episodes. Go ahead, put them on Pinterest. If you have something going on in your website, you can pin some pins to your website. You can pin things to your offer. Pinterest the things you can do on Pinterest are amazing. So that is something else that you can do. And of course, once you have that part down, if you want to mess around with social media, Facebook, Instagram, all the things, then go for it, because why not? If you have the time, you have the bandwidth, that's when you can go ahead and have fun. So I'm all for in the beginning stages of your podcast journey, please do not spend time on social media. Do not spend time on Facebook and Instagram trying to grow your podcast. You're going to grow your podcast inside of the podcast. That is your focus right there. And how you do that are all the things that I shared with you in phase 1. Once you have that solid foundation, then we move on to phase 2. And that's when I'm okay with you going ahead and implementing the social media strategy. Now, I am super excited to share with you that I have put together the ultimate podcasting success bundle, which has everything that you need, whether you have a podcast that you have been podcasting for a while, or maybe you are launching your podcast and you just want to have all of the tools that you need to make sure that your podcast is starting off on the right track. This is the bundle for you. And I am super excited because this bundle is $24. I kid you not, it's $24. So let me tell you what's inside the bundle so you can be like, oh yeah, sign me up. So I have my foolproof success formula mini course. This is the mini course that will give you a very solid foundation of your mindset and all the things that you need to have in order for you to conquer not just the podcast side of things, but also the business side of things. And this mini course is one that I love so much because I go back and I listen to this mini course all the time. So hint, hint, I actually do go back to my own content and I listen to it because yes, even I need, a little talk sometimes. Okay, what's next? I am also giving you my mini course on 2 super hacks on how to write titles fast. This is going to be game changing for you if you don't understand the concept of writing really good titles and you're not really solid on the whole SEO thing. This is going to be the thing that will help you make sure that your titles are chef's kiss, and you're going to want to apply those things and you're going to see results because, when the Holy Spirit gave me this idea, I was like, wow, this is so good. So this is how you know it's good. So next thing on the list is how to find podcasts for you to guest on. So I'm going to walk you through the strategy that I use myself and the strategy that I teach my clients on how you can get on other podcasts that are totally aligned, that are actually going to help your podcast grow as well. And as a bonus, I'm giving you the podcast pitch that I use so that you know what to send them and you don't have to sit here and, oh my gosh, get something very crappy from ChatGPT or just something that doesn't sound good. Let's face it, we have all gotten those cringy pitches in our inbox. You know what I'm talking about. So I have the template there for you so you can make it your own and just run with it. The next thing that you're getting that I'm super excited about, because you guys are asking me about this all the time, is my podcast SEO 101. This is something that you're going to be able to look at. You're going to understand the basics of SEO. You're going to understand, I really broke it down. How does my brain think about SEO? And I made this guide for you so that you can understand, okay, these are the steps. This is what I have to do. This is how I implement it. Bada bing, bada boom. It's so good. So, and again, this is a super simple way that you can just get in and understand how to get started with SEO. And you're going to love this one. Next, you're also getting a podcast planner so that we can plan out that podcast and make sure, again, that we have a plan for the podcast, that we're not winging it, that if we're going to make the podcast the main marketing thing, then it better be the main marketing thing. You know what I'm saying? So you get a podcast planner. You're also getting Pinterest templates so that you can go ahead and start pinning your podcast. Once you're ready for that step, you can start pinning your podcast on Pinterest, your blogs, your product, whatever your heart desires, your freebies. You're also getting templates for social media. So for Instagram, for Facebook, you're getting those as well. And I'm also giving you media kit templates so that when you do pitch people, if you do want to send this, you have something to go off of, and it's beautiful, and you just have to plug and play your information and it is ready to go. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning because I'm like, there's so much in here, but also you're getting those cover art templates. So if your podcast cover art looks less than ideal, you're going to get those templates and you're going to be able to, again, plug and play your information on there, put your picture on there, and bada bing, bada boom, you have a beautiful podcast cover art that was made actually by my own graphic designer. And then if that wasn't enough, I'm also giving you a mini course, a bonus mini course on how to take really amazing pictures so that you know what to do for your podcast cover art, because so many people make a mistake when they're taking pictures for the podcast cover art. I cannot tell you how many times I've had to sit down with coaching clients of mine and I'm like, okay, we're going to need to change this cover art because you are repelling people. And maybe it wasn't because the cover art was bad, but like the picture that they took, it was repelling people away. So I'm a little bit of a geek when it comes to photo theory, and I'll give you some strategies that you can go ahead and implement so that you can take really beautiful pictures, and it can be done with your phone. It doesn't have to be a professional picture, so that you can go ahead and have really beautiful pictures, again, that you can put in your podcast cover art and start attracting people over to you. And then finally, I'm also giving you some audiogram templates that also work as reels and shorts and all the short form content that is hot these days. You can use those templates for that as well, so that you can start attracting people over to your show. And the cool thing about this is that, of course, you can put this on Instagram, you can put this on Pinterest, you can just go crazy with this and put it everywhere. So I am super excited to offer you guys. Honestly, I'm so excited because it's only $24 and like the value that you're getting for this is insane. So make sure that you go ahead and snag this. I will leave it linked in the show notes for you, and have fun, enjoy, go apply this to your show. And I just have to say this. I am so excited to finally have something that is easily available, like affordable for everyone. And you can just buy it, apply it to your show, and see what happens. See all the growth. So my love, I am super pumped. Go grab it. Let me know how you love it. And I'll see you here next week. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Organic Marketing Simplified for Podcasters. If you're ready to take your podcast to the next level, let's work together. I offer a group coaching program called the Profitable Podcast Blueprint, where you have lifetime access not only to the program itself and all updates, but also to me inside of a group coaching container. So you also have access to other podcasters that you can network with. So that's one way that we can work together. I also own a podcast marketing and production agency. So if all you want to do is to record your episodes and send it to us and have us do all the back work for you while making sure that your show is getting all the visibility it deserves, then that's another way that we can work together. And finally, I have one-on-one coaching. So come hang out with me. Go to julianabarbati.com for all the information, and I cannot wait to see you back here next week.